You got paid today. The number in your account went up. And within 48 hours, you already know where most of it is going. Not to savings, not to investments, not to the future version of you who will desperately wish you had been smarter. Somewhere else, somewhere that felt urgent or deserved or just impossible to resist in the moment. And the strangest part, you knew it was happening. You watched yourself do it. You made a conscious decision that your rational mind disagreed with, and you did it anyway. This is not a discipline problem. This is not a willpower problem. This is not even a financial literacy problem. This is biology. Ancient, stubborn, ruthlessly efficient biology that was never designed to coexist with a direct deposit and a credit limit. Your brain was built for a world that no longer exists, and that mismatch is costing you everything. Here is where it starts. Somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 years ago, your ancestors woke up every morning with one job: survive today, not next year, not retirement. Today. Find calories, avoid death, repeat. In that world, saving made no sense. Food rotted, resources couldn't be stored. The future was genuinely uncertain in a way that made long-term planning not just impractical, but actively dangerous. The human who spent energy planning for a winter 10 months away while ignoring the predator 3 feet away did not pass on their genes. The human who acted immediately, who grabbed the food, who burned the calories, who consumed the resource the moment it appeared, that human survived. That human had children, and those children had children, and eventually one of them became you. Economists call this hyperbolic discounting. Behavioral scientists call it present bias. Your brain calls it Tuesday. In 1981, a researcher named Richard Thaler published work that would later win him a Nobel Prize. His core finding was uncomfortable. Humans are not rational economic actors. We systematically and predictably overvalue the present over the future in ways that no sensible financial model could explain. We will choose $10 today over $20 in 2 weeks. We will choose pleasure now over security later. We will choose the purchase over the savings account, even when we know, consciously, explicitly know, that the savings account is the correct answer. Thaler called this the planner-doer problem. There are two versions of you. The planner sets goals, makes budgets, downloads apps, reads articles like this one. The doer wakes up on Saturday morning and sees that the sneakers are on sale. The doer always wins. But here is where it gets stranger. It is not just impulsiveness. Your brain actually experiences future financial pain and present financial pleasure in completely different neural regions. A study led by neuroscientist Gregory Burns at Emory University used brain imaging to show that when people thought about receiving money in the future, the prefrontal cortex activated, the slow, deliberate, rational part of the brain. But when people received money or pleasure immediately, the limbic system lit up instead. The ancient emotional core. The part that predates language. The part that your caveman ancestor used to decide whether to run or eat. You are not making a bad financial decision. You are making a neurologically ancient decision in a financially modern world. And the modern world has noticed. Every major consumer industry has spent decades reverse engineering this flaw and building entire business models around it. Think about how subscriptions work. You pay a small amount every month instead of one large amount up front. That is not convenience. That is present bias engineering. The future payments feel abstract, distant, almost theoretical. The entertainment is immediate and real. Your brain treats that monthly fee as nearly free, even when 12 of them add up to something that would have made you pause at the register. Think about buy now, pay later. The purchase is now, the pain is later. And later is a country your emotional brain does not believe in. Think about the casino floor. No clocks, no windows, no natural light. Every design choice collapses your sense of time into an eternal present, where consequences feel suspended and rewards feel immediate. That is not an accident. That is applied neuroscience. Shlomo Benartzi, a behavioral economist at UCLA, spent years studying why people consistently fail to save for retirement, even when they express a genuine desire to do so. What he found was that the future self feels like a stranger. Brain imaging studies he conducted with colleagues showed that when people imagined their future self, the neural patterns more closely resembled how they process strangers than how they process themselves. You are not choosing present you over future you. You are choosing present you over a person you do not know and feel no particular loyalty to. This is why the most effective savings interventions do not rely on willpower. They rely on automation, systems that move money before the doer wakes up, systems that make future you the default instead of the exception. Bernardzi's own Save More Tomorrow program, which enrolled workers in automatic escalating retirement contributions, increased savings rates by more than 300% without requiring a single act of conscious self-discipline. The planner set the rule. The system enforced it. The doer never got a vote. But there is another layer here, one that goes deeper than just impulsiveness. Your brain does not just prefer the present. It is disproportionately terrified of loss. In 1979, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky published Prospect Theory, one of the most cited papers in the history of economics. Their central finding was this: losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining the same thing feels good. Losing $20 feels approximately as bad as finding $40 feels good. This is loss aversion, and it does not just affect how you spend. It affects how you save, invest, and build wealth in ways that are quietly catastrophic over decades. Loss aversion is why you hold a failing stock long after you should have sold it, because selling locks in the loss and makes it real. As long as you hold, you can still believe in a recovery. The paper loss stays theoretical. The sold loss becomes permanent. Your brain treats those two things completely differently, even though financially they are identical. Loss aversion is why you keep money in a savings account, earning close to nothing rather than investing it in an index fund. The market could go down. You have seen it go down. The potential loss is vivid and imaginable. The potential gain over 30 years is abstract and statistical. Your brain was not built for statistics. It was built for vividness. Loss aversion is why people work jobs they hate, stay in situations that are slowly draining them, and avoid changes that might make their lives substantially better. Change means risk. Risk means potential loss. And potential loss, to your ancient brain, is practically indistinguishable from death. Here's the twist. These biases are not flaws. They were features. They were adaptive. Present bias kept your ancestors from starving while planning for a hypothetical future. Loss aversion kept them from gambling resources they needed to survive. The emotional intensity of immediate experience was not irrationality. It was appropriate prioritization in an environment where tomorrow was genuinely not guaranteed. The problem is not that your brain is broken. The problem is that your brain is running an outdated operating system in a world it was never tested against. A world where food does not expire, where threats arrive as debt notices rather than predators, where the payoff for planting seeds, contributing to a Roth IRA, buying index funds, building an emergency account, is measured not in seasons, but in decades. Your brain has no ancestral framework for that kind of delayed return. And so it defaults to now, always, urgently, compulsively now. The researchers who study this do not conclude that humans are hopeless. They conclude that the environment matters more than the intention. James Clear, who synthesized decades of behavioral science in his work on habit formation, argues that the goal is not to fight your nature, but to design around it. Make saving automatic, make spending slightly harder, create small frictions between impulse and action. Add one confirmation step, add one day, add one question. Is this future me, or present me making this choice? You cannot outthink 100,000 years of wiring, but you can build a system that wires your environment to work with your biology instead of against it. Because here's the thing, you got paid today. The number in your account went up. And somewhere, quietly running a process your emotional brain will never see, is an automated transfer. Moving a piece of that number somewhere your doer self cannot touch it. Building a future for a stranger who will one day wake up and realize they are you. That is not discipline. That is understanding the machine.